What's up there, YouTubers and fellow riders? The Chemist back at it again in the garage, cooking up another DIY for you. Today I'm going to be showing you how to change your rear brake fluid oil, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so in my last tutorial I showed you how to change your front brake fluid oil, and today I'm going to be showing you how to change your rear. The rear is a little bit different. We're going to be using the same tools, of course, and what you're going to be needing today is a hose and a one-way chuck valve. If you have one, a hose will work, but let's try and stick with the one-way chuck valve as well so that we don't get no air bubbles in our line. You're also going to be needing a syringe applicator. If you don't have one, of course, I've always told you, you can go down to your local Walgreens or CVS and pick up some children's cough medicine. They usually come with a syringe applicator, and you can use that as well. But we're also going to be needing some brake fluid, some .4, and yeah, to give you an idea of what bad and good brake fluid looks like, this is the previous oil from my front caliper, my front reservoir, and as you can see, the oil is all spent. It is orange color, really dark, really dingy. You can't even see through it. If we take a look at it right here, it's all murky, and what we got here is some good brake fluid right out of the container right here, and you can see how clear and fluid that is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the bike real quick and see what we need to do here. We're at the right side of the bike here, and if you don't know, this is your rear reservoir, and at the top of the reservoir, if you're always unsure of what brake fluid you need to buy, it actually says right there .4. So just to let you know, we're going to be needing some small Phillips here to get in here and remove the cap so we can suck out our brake fluid. And if you don't know, excuse me, the rear nipple to remove the fluid is right here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hang tight while I set that up for you. Okay guys, so one of the most difficult things about this job is actually trying to get this thing off, and the clearance between the tail section and here is pretty tight, and you're going to find yourself struggling to try to find a tool to get in here. One of the tools I do recommend is a ratcheting system like this, and where you can replace the tip with a Phillips head. And this actually works really good. And if you don't know, this is a PH number 4 Phillips head that I use. Got it in here and ratchet it off. Now these screws don't need to come all the way out. We just need to pull them out, back them out a little bit. You can actually, once it's up or risen a little bit, you can grab it by your hand and undo it. But you're gonna stick your nail in here and try to pop it off as best as you can. And if we take a look in here, we might be able to see how bad that old oil is. Now this oil hasn't been changed since I've had the bike, so this is roughly going about 5, maybe 6 years. So let's go ahead and take a look inside there. And as you can see, that oil is pretty much spent. It is dark in color and almost darn near black. So we're going to be removing this, sucking this out with our syringe. And another thing I wanted to kind of point out to, I got my brake bleeder on there right now, but that nipple might be a little bit hard to crack, and you might not, if you do happen to have the Motion Pro tool, you might not be able to crack it with that. This is basically an 8mm socket. I went ahead and cracked it and then added my Motion Pro brake bleeder tool on there, which goes down to my reservoir. It's going to catch all my old oil. So I'm going to go ahead and set up and start sucking out some of this oil. Give me 1 second while I set that up for you. Alright guys, so I got my syringe here. Like I said, you don't actually need something as fancy as this. Just mimic the setup as best as possible. Like I said, the applicator you can get pretty much anywhere now. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stick this in here and suck out all the old oil that's in here, and make this job a whole lot easier. I do recommend that you do it this method, because any other way, if you stick a towel in there and try to soak it out little by little, you're going to make a mess. So if you do decide to use a towel, paper towel, and kind of soak it up that way, it's fine, but just realize that it's going to be a little bit more messier. This is the no mess, no spill type of method. So as we pull it out, we can see just how bad that oil is. Man, that is like almost black. Alright. I think that's pretty much going to be about it. So if we take a look at that oil is spent. I was having issues with my back brake, sometimes locking up on me, and actually not even working at times. So this could be contribute to part of the reason why. Also could be that it's time to rebuild the caliper. But we'll go ahead and try this method first and see if it works. Alright guys, so I got my new oil in here. As you can see, it's nice and clear, and I'm going to go ahead and reapply it back into here. Now you might be wondering why we haven't gone ahead and drained the old oil from the line, and that's to come. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and refill this back up. Alright, so we got it filled back up now, and it's actually higher than the upper mark on the reservoir, and that's for good purpose. Now what we're going to do is we're going to suck the fresh oil or the fresh brake fluid through the line as we pump, and we're going to try not to go past the lower level mark because we don't want air to travel through as we suck out that old oil and bring in the new. So the last thing you want to do is get air bubbles in your line. So if you do happen to suck it past the reservoir level and you start hearing a gurgling sound coming from up here, then you're going to want to go ahead and fill this up and recycle some more oil through till you get all those air bubbles out. So let's go ahead and get started on bleeding the brake. So what we're going to be doing here is actually you're going to be pumping the brake, and then while you pump, on your last pump you're going to hold and you're going to release your pressure off your rear nipple. And once you release the pressure, you're going to go ahead and tighten that back up, and then release the brake, or release the brake lever, and then pump it again, and then hold, release the pressure, tighten it back up, release the brake lever. Now remember not to let go of this brake lever while you have that nipple open or in the open position, because what you're going to do is suck air back into the line. Now that I'm using the Motion Pro 8mm chuck valve, air should not be able to go back through the line backwards. That's the purpose of a chuck valve. It's a one-way valve that allows the liquid to flow in one direction, but will not allow it to flow or anything flow back in the opposite direction. So even though we do have that safety precaution, we still want to follow procedure, and you always want to make sure that you close that valve and then release. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here we go. Now I've already loosened the nipple with this 8mm ratchet. It was kind of tight, but if you need to do so, go ahead and grab yourself that and just kind of crack that bolt free. It's a little tough to do it with this small leverage, and it's a lot easier to do it with something a lot longer. So we're gonna go ahead and pump that. Make sure you keep an eye on that reservoir. And now I'm gonna pump and hold, and now I'm gonna crack this valve open. And you're gonna feel that pedal drop down. You're gonna go ahead and tighten it back up. Let it go. Give it a couple more pumps. It's gonna be hard. Hold it down. Release. Tighten it back up. And I'm watching all this old oil or old brake fluid come through the line, and it looks really, really murky. Now, when's a good time to stop doing this? Well, when you no longer see that murky oil inside your line. And it's even best to do it a few times while it does have clear oil to make sure that we get all of it out. But you gotta remember that line is pretty short, so it's not gonna be that long. Now, one of the advantages of having a clear tube is that you're able to see just how much of that old spent oil is left. Now, as I do this, I'm watching the line get clearer and clearer, and we're almost to the point now where it's almost 100% clear. And like I said, even after you do see, you do get a lot of, you start seeing clear liquid in there, you still gonna want to keep going and flush it all the way through. Okay, so if we take a look at our line now, we can see that we have a lot of new clear liquid oil in here as opposed to the dirty old. Let's go ahead and take a look at this old oil for a second here. So this is the old oil sitting inside there, and as you can see, it's a murky mess as opposed to that new oil. So you'll be able to tell the difference once the fresh oils is cycled through. Now remember, if you do happen to forget to check your reservoir as you're pumping, you're gonna want to watch this drop down. Don't let it get passed down to this lower level mark. You want to fill it up. And if you're wondering if the oil container does fit in here, yes, it does. And as you can see, you can get that oil container in there and pour. You don't have to actually use a syringe. I was just using a syringe because it's a little more cleaner method. You might just get drips and spills on here, and I was trying to avoid that. But at any rate, keep an eye on this level, and if you do happen to suck it past that level, well, you're just going to refill it back up and start the whole process again and remove those excess bubbles. Excess bubbles are kind of like a white milky-ish color, and you'll watch them transpire through here, and you just keep pumping that brake pedal until it and releasing the valve until you see no more air bubbles coming in and out of here. But at any rate, guys, this is how you do your rear brake fluid change. Hope this helped you out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also don't forget to comment. Let me know how you feel about this DIY. And as always, I will see you next problem.